ولن نساوم على الحق أو الثوابت.
Good afternoon. You're watching the English newscast here on Future Television. I'm Linda Tamima. These are today's headlines. Calm prevails in Ain al-Halwa after days of heavy clashes that rocked the Palestinian camp came to an end. U.S. President Donald Trump tells Congress he is open to immigration reform in a primetime address to a country that remains divided over his leadership. And French presidential candidate François Fillon will face court over accusations that he gave his wife a fake job. Calm prevails in Ain al-Halwa after days of heavy clashes that rocked the Palestinian camp came to an end. Sidon adhered to a call for a general strike declared by Future Movement MP Bahia al-Hariri on Tuesday to protest against the security incidents in the Palestinian refugee camp. Schools in the southern city suspended classes while several shops closed. A second truce deal on Tuesday managed to put an end to clashes between rival Palestinian gunmen in Ain al-Halwa, which left 1 dead and wounded 7, including an 11-year-old boy. Some of the residents who fled their homes during the gun battles returned to the camp this morning to inspect the damage and their properties. UNRWA schools and clinics remain closed for the 3rd consecutive day. Interior Minister Nuhad al-Mashnouk has marked World Civil Defense Day by announcing further support for Lebanon's servicemen. The minister announced the expansion of the Lebanese civil defense while meeting servicemen at their Beirut headquarters. He said that work is underway to expand the civil defense's presence nationwide, adding that a technical study on the matter will be completed within a week. The Interior Minister also announced external support coming from Jordan and Egypt. Director for the Middle East at World Bank, Farid Belhaj, says Lebanon is a priority for World Bank projects, echoing the need to invest in future projects in the country. Belhaj's remarks were made during a meeting with President Michel Aoun, which highlighted the future of the organization's cooperation with Lebanon. They met in the presence of Change and Reform MP Brahim Kanaan, who heads the Finance and Budget Committee in Parliament at Babda Palace. The Syrian opposition delegation has met again with UN Special Envoy to Syria Staffan de Mistura as part of the intra-Syrian negotiations. The Geneva peace process has barely reached first gear, with 5 days of discussion solely on how to arrange the talks. The Syrian opposition is also expected to meet with the Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Gennady Gatilov, hoping Russia will pressure its ally Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. Gatilov said on Tuesday that a UN Security Council resolution put forward by Western powers to punish Syria's government over its alleged use of chemical weapons will harm the peace talks in Geneva. Salim al-Muslit, a spokesman for the High Negotiations Committee, said the opposition regretted Russia's 7th veto on Syria.
We really regret to see Russia use the 7th veto. This is really strange, and I believe this is the first time it happens in the history of the Security Council. But here, we were not surprised by this veto, but here we're waiting to see the Mr. Gatilov to see what they have. We hope that they come here having something in mind to push the political process here in Geneva, because with this regime we will reach nowhere unless there is a pressure, and the only country that can really put a pressure on the regime is Russia. For us, really, it doesn't make any difference whether we meet today or tomorrow, but the main thing is to see what's in this meeting for the Syrians. As you know, I mentioned, we're not really expecting much, but at least they should do something, for the Syrians. And if they care about the Syrians, they should really push for this process to move forward. They should really put pressure on the regime to be involved in real negotiation, not only coming here and wasting time.
Coming up next, multiple attacks in the Afghan capital, Kabul, claimed by the Taliban. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching the news in English. U.S. President Donald Trump told Congress he was open to immigration reform, shifting from his harsh rhetoric on illegal immigration in a speech that offered a more restrained tone than his election campaign and first month in presidency. In a primetime address to a country that remains divided over his leadership, Trump set aside disputes with Democrats and the news media to deliver his most presidential performance to date, seeking to regain the confidence of Americans rattled by his leadership thus far.
Protecting our workers also means reforming our system of legal immigration. The current outdated system depresses wages for our poorest workers and puts great pressure on taxpayers. Nations around the world, like Canada, Australia, and many others, have a merit-based immigration system. It's a basic principle that those seeking to enter a country ought to be able to support themselves financially. Yet in America, we do not enforce this rule, straining the very public resources that our poorest citizens rely upon. According to the National Academy of Sciences, our current immigration system costs American taxpayers many billions of dollars a year. Switching away from this current system of lower-skilled immigration and instead adopting a merit-based system, we will have so many more benefits. It will save countless dollars, raise workers' wages, and help struggling families, including immigrant families, enter the middle class. And they will do it quickly, and they will be very, very happy indeed. I believe that real and positive immigration reform is possible as long as we focus on the following goals: to improve jobs and wages for Americans, to strengthen our nation's security, and to restore respect for our laws. If we are guided by the well-being of American citizens, then I believe Republicans and Democrats can work together to achieve an outcome that has eluded our country for decades.
Moving on to Afghanistan, the Taliban has attacked targets in different parts of the capital, Kabul, including a police headquarters in the western part of the city, killing at least 3 people and wounding dozens. The Interior Ministry said a suicide car bomber struck an Afghan police precinct in western Kabul. Shortly after, a suicide bomber blew himself up at the gates of an Afghan intelligence agency branch in eastern Kabul as another attacker was gunned down while trying to enter the compound. A Taliban spokesman claimed the group inflicted heavy casualties. French conservative presidential hopeful François Fillon says he has been summoned by judges for questioning and a possible indictment over allegations he gave his wife a lucrative fake job, but vows to stay in the presidential race. Fillon's campaign has been battered for weeks by allegations that he paid his wife Penelope hundreds of thousands of euros of public money to be his parliamentary assistant, but that she actually did very little work. He denied any wrongdoing and said it was a proper job. Sicily's Mount Etna continued erupting with fountains of lava producing a spectacular show. The lava flows began on Monday with the eruption taking place at the southeast crater. Authorities say the eruptions don't currently present a danger to people or property. The nearby Catania airport has not been affected and remains fully operational. Hollywood stars including Tom Hiddleston, Brie Larson and Samuel L. Jackson walked the red carpet for Kong Skull Island premiere. The movie depicts a group of explorers and Marines venturing into uncharted territory in the Pacific Ocean. where they come across the monstrous ape Kong and other man-eating creatures. Francis McGuire reports.
Oscar winners and top A-list stars walked the red carpet for the latest retelling of the classic King Kong tale. Kong's Skull Island stars Tom Hiddleston as a former soldier sent to uncharted territory in the Pacific. He's joined by Brie Larson's photojournalist Mason Weaver and a group of Marines led by Samuel L. Jackson's Preston Packard. But things soon turn sour when they come across the monstrous ape Kong and other man-eating creatures.
It is a roller coaster ride. Perhaps more than any film I've made, it's like being on a roller coaster. The characters first meet Kong in helicopters, and it feels like being in a bumpy helicopter all the way through.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like I was at Disneyland every day. I got to be a kid, you know, you're just running around, climbing on things, jumping, and talking to an imaginary friend all day. Thank you.
The original King Kong film was released in 1933. Its appeal has endured ever since, and there's been numerous remakes.
And I think initially in '33 he was probably, you know, a giant monster on the silver screen, but he's endured because he represents the power of nature. And we as human beings are still fascinated by our relationship to nature, and that we don't quite understand it, and that sometimes nature's best left to its own devices. Kong's always minding his own business, and we always get in the way, so maybe that's why.
John C. Reilly was also at the premiere as he stars as a long-lost World War II pilot in the movie. Audiences can see the team's adventure into Skull Island when the film's released in March.
This marks the end of our bulletin for today. Now for a recap of our top stories. Calm prevails in Ain al-Helwa after days of heavy clashes that rocked the Palestinian camp came to an end. U.S. President Donald Trump tells Congress he is open to immigration reform in a primetime address to a country that remains divided over his leadership. And French presidential candidate François Fillon will face court over accusations that he gave his wife a fake job. Those are your top stories in English for today. I'm Linda Tamimna. Thank you all for watching.